Welcome to Ask Ms. ERP. The topic of this video is what are your ERP requirements? Hello everyone, Ms. ERP here. This requirements question is probably the most important one to ask of your company. If you don't know what you need, then it is unlikely that you will find it. Knowing what your requirements are is good at any time, but it becomes much more important if you are looking to change anything, either with an upgrade or a move to a new ERP. I've probably mentioned requirements in almost every video, as I cannot stress the importance of this enough. Too many times, ERP decisions are based on the wrong criteria, for which you will pay for, perhaps for a very long time. Please do not choose your ERP based on the following, which are not requirements. What system someone used and liked in their previous company. Likely a persuasive senior leader. This solution may not be the right fit for your company, and implementing a new system is far more work than you would expect. Then it will likely take years to stabilize and make it as perfect as it was at that person's last company. What system looks really cool at a conference or some other vendor demo opportunity? You will run the risk of designing your requirements to match the cool system, where you really should focus on having system-agnostic requirements. What system others in your industry are using? This is a good criteria to use to define a candidate system to consider once you know your requirements, but you may not want to be a lemming. If you are looking for a competitive advantage, then you should probably look elsewhere.
Oh no!
Surveys have shown that inadequate definition of functional requirements accounts for nearly 60% of ERP implementation failures. And this has been going on for a long time, so one would think that we would understand this point by now, but it seems not. I will have more to say on why ERP projects fail in the future, as there are other reasons, but this is a big one, so it deserves a topic all on its own. Here are a few general tips to ensure that you do have a good set of requirements. The first should be obvious. Engage the right people to gather requirements. These are not IT requirements, but business requirements, and the information should come from those that know your business processes. It really doesn't matter how well an application responds if it doesn't actually do what the business needs it to. Second, define your requirements in levels of detail. Level 1 being very high level, then break those high level requirements into subsequent levels until you get down to the nitty-gritty detail. You can also classify your requirements into must-haves, should-haves, and could-haves, which will help you focus on what is really important to your company. The lowest level of detail may require end-user interviews and understanding the daily steps that are performed. The intent of having multiple levels of detail is that it allows you to use these levels to eliminate solution options. If a solution meets level 1, it can be reviewed against level 2 and so on. This will save you time by quickly eliminating solutions that will not meet your requirements. Third, try not to focus so much on the how, but more the what. What is the business outcome to be achieved? Different solutions may approach meeting a requirement differently. So you should be evaluating a solution against it doing what you need it to do, rather than does it do a process this specific way. Avoid vague requirements like reducing headcount or improving efficiency. While important, these are not requirements, but goals. For true requirements, you really need to focus on what you need in functionality, not how a requirement will be met. A common framework for gathering functional requirements is to use RICE-FW, or some variation of the same. RICE-FW stands for Reports, Interfaces or Integrations, Conversions, Enhancements, Forms, and Workflows. This framework will definitely help you find missing requirements. For example, I have found that a focus on the required reports will help you identify data input or conversion requirements that may have been overlooked. Don't forget about non-functional requirements. This is where IT should be able to step up and help. If you're lucky, you have an IT architecture department that may already have some of these defined as standard requirements for any application in your company. Examples of non-functional requirements are scalability. What is the ability for the application to grow or shrink? Extensibility. What is possible to expand functionality? Ease of integration. Does the solution provide APIs or tools to integrate to other systems? Generally, ERPs or other large enterprise systems will need to support integrations, sometimes many of them. Availability. What uptime do you need? This is usually referred to in terms of nines. 2 nines is 99%, which means it is okay to be down 1% of the year or 3.65 days. 3 nines or 99.9% can be out 8.77 hours per year. 6 nines, we're talking seconds for outage time, and 9 nines in milliseconds. Note that this metric refers to unplanned downtime and does not usually include system maintenance. Response time. You should have an expectation here. For example, a maximum of 3 seconds for a screen to render. And make sure that you measure this against all of your sites, especially anywhere remote. Support services. Lots of possible requirements here. For example, hours to be offered. Do you only need business hours or 24/7? Ask for service level agreements on response time and resolution time. If you can get it. I find resolution SLAs misleading. How can any company commit to solving a problem within X hours if they don't actually know what the problem is? And any other service metrics offered. Continuous improvement processes. How does the vendor continue to improve their offerings? Will there be extra charges for new functionality? Code currency. When and how often are updates provided? And are they mandatory or not? How long will a specific release be supported if you don't keep it up to date? Business continuity. This can be defined with 2 criteria. First, how fast you need the system back in the case of an incident, known as recovery time objective, or RTO. For example, do you need your system back within 8 hours after a failure? This is paired with your data loss tolerance level, which is your recovery point objective. For example, can you return to last night's backup, or do you need to ensure that only transactions in progress at time of failure will be lost? These 2 criteria will lead to being able to define your backup and disaster recovery requirements and may greatly impact the total cost of ownership, as real-time data recovery is usually more expensive than a nightly backup recovery. Security. At a minimum, how are users authorized? Will the app support a role-based structure, and also how will the data itself be secured? Do you need personal or other sensitive data encrypted? If so, is it possible out of the box? Auditability. What logs or reports are needed, and how long do they need to be kept for? Lastly, vendor viability. There are lots of ways to investigate this, but basically you want to pick a vendor that is going to be around for a while. I hope that some of these points will help you ensure that you have a really good list of requirements before you go out shopping for any large enterprise system such as an ERP or EAM. Once you have such a list, you'll be successful in determining the right system solution for your company. This concludes the What are your ERP requirements topic. I have a number of ideas for topics for Ask Ms. ERP, but I'm also hoping that you will pose questions that perhaps I can help answer. There is a link on askmserp.com to email me to ask questions or suggest topics for future videos. Or you can just add comments on any YouTube video. Please subscribe to my channel, and if you would like to receive notifications of new Ask Ms. ERP videos, please update your YouTube settings as shown. Thanks, and see you on the next video.